how to answer investment banking interview questions or just finance questions. Woo! Part 2, and it's to do with the good fit. Woo! First of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to the channel. If you're new, welcome to the channel. This is me, HB, and I talk about different kinds of stuff. My Wednesday, well, I say Wednesday, I've been slipping the last month or so, but my Wednesday videos are all to do with career stuff. So yeah, Wednesday is career stuff. I post some vlogs like once every 2 Sundays. And I also have a podcast called Dime Drop where I get loads of different people on. And we talk about their careers and how they progress and things like that. So yeah, sub to the channel and leave a comment. And what else do you do? Like the video and put the notifications on. But I just want to say thank you again. Trying to reach 1,000 subs as soon as I can. And then I'm going to drop a video, the life of investment in the day in the life of an investment banker. Yeah, that's the one. But yeah, so please join me on that journey. It'll be fun. Also, fun fact, last week I recorded the episode and I didn't record it. It's the first time it's happened. I know loads of people do that. It's the first time it's happened to me. So I had to redo it, but it's what it is. Just had to check that this was recording as I said that. But yeah, okay, cool. Let's get into this video, man. So basically I want to talk about, you know, a lot of banks, not just banks, in finance interviews and stuff, whatever you go into, they want to check that you're the right fit for the team. And the way that they do this is not just for the team, it's for the company as well. They'll ask you some probing questions, and these don't really have a stock answer, but you have to answer them in the way that you know you're not making yourself fallible in any sort of way. You're not, you know, exposing anything too bad about yourself, but you also are giving them a little bit of real, so you're not basically BSing them, if that makes sense. So one common question you'll get in a load of different jobs is talking about your greatest strength and your greatest weakness. The thing is, you don't want to come across bare cocky, so you don't want to say everything's a strength. It's like, that's not how it works. Be specific about what you want to be a strength and be real to yourself as well. Like, so for instance, if you're not an organized person and you say organization is something that I'm really good at, don't BS it. For me, I literally talk about the way I like to plan things and take notes and be organized. So that's generally what I do. It's why I'm actually creating something with someone, hopefully for you guys as well. That's who it's going to be targeted at, to help you plan study time, but also if you're in jobs and work and stuff, like different plans and stuff like that, you can just literally use my templates. Because a lot of people like my templates when I do them at work and stuff, so I'm trying to bring that to the masses. I say masses, it's not like I've created a massive community, but I just want to help as many people as I can. But yeah, that's one strength that I always talk about. I always talk about my organization skills and just prioritizing different tasks. If that isn't a skill of yours, it's fine. Talk about something else. Talk about, maybe you're really good at just like, I don't know, diffusing situations or working good under pressure, whatever it is, talk about that. Now, in terms of weakness, you have to be very careful with this. You don't want to say, oh, I'm always late, I have timing issues or something like that. You don't want to talk about that. Like, for instance, one thing that I talk about is I'm really bad at delegating. And I say it's something that you always have to caveat with, it's something that I am working on to improve and I have been improving. But yeah, like delegation is quite a good one to talk about. Maybe it's not speaking up enough in situations. You've been to just say like, yeah, there's certain times where I think I could have given my opinion, and that opinion that I had ended up being the way that we went later down the line anyway, so I could have saved a bit of time with that. So not speaking up enough, because that comes obviously generally with more confidence as you get more experience in a role. So that's another really good one to talk about. What else is there? There's a bunch, but what I'm trying to say is don't make it like really like, oh, like sometimes I lose focus in meetings or things like that, or I lose concentration quickly. I find it hard to focus on tasks. I find it hard to work alone. Like things like that are not going to help you. So just be honest, but don't be too honest, if that makes sense. One classic question in any grad job I've been interviewed by, or any job, I'll be real, is they talk about, tell me a time in a team situation where you've had to deal with a difficult team member. Now, this is what I've alluded to before in terms of, in my head, I do it as like a science report. So I'll have like the hypothesis, I'll have the method, I'll have the results and the conclusion. And that's the way I plan it out. It's similar to the STAR method. It's just my way of doing it. Now, So think about, you have to relate to a scenario, right? They've asked you to. This could be just a uni group thing. Could be like something you did at A levels if you just started university. If you're in different jobs, talk about a time in a job where you were doing a certain project or whatever it was. And the way I usually tackle it is, let's say I talked about, I was put in a group at university where we had to do evaluation on a company as part of my master's degree. Now, one thing we realized is that there was one person in the team who had a different idea to all of the rest of us and was being not very agreeable with us. So then I decided to say, as part of the team, oh, you know what? Instead of because I saw like two of the members of the team sort of colliding a little bit. And I literally just said, you know what, let's go with both ways and let's see which gives us a reasonable answer at the end. And what that did is it kind of empowered both sides. It empowered the guy who just wanted to do it himself and also the rest of the team. And then at the end, we had two answers and we were just like, yeah, this looks more reasonable. Let's go this one or this one, whatever. So you argue both sides and you give them a chance to actually speak up. That's the way I dealt with it. And then I say, we end up getting a first for the module. So it's taking you through a little step by step what happened and how we dealt with it and what were the results as well. You need to be able to tell a story about something similar to that. And for me, it's more about enabling people to talk about their situation, like giving them the platform to speak their opinion. I think that comes across well in my eyes. And that's what I would be looking for personally if I ask this question. Now, you might come across a question which is, you have no experience in an investment bank. Why do you think you're going to succeed in this role? So hopefully you will have done some information digging and you know about IB. If you're not, go check out my videos on this channel. I've got a bunch of them in terms of what you actually do in investment banking. So go check them out. And like I said, day in the life is going to come later when I hit 1,000 subs. So subscribe. But yeah, the way to tackle this is basically, hopefully you know what people do, and then you just have to say where you've got transferable skills. I've talked about this on a CV. So if you've worked even in a coffee shop or a bar where it's really busy, you're able to talk to customers, so talk to clients. That's very similar, and also handle pressure and work well under pressure, because when you're doing a deal, you have to be able to work really well under time pressure. And also you could be put on a couple of things at the same time and you have to be able to juggle different things. It's like making two drinks at the same time kind of thing. But you need to be able to use transferable skills in a way. So it's not just all about, if I don't have any experience, then I'm going to be crap at it. Talk about analytical stuff. Talk about maybe some subjects you did at university or specific modules you did where it's more analytical and you had to work through something. I did a corporate finance master's. I talk about different valuations and things like that, and understand what takeaways I had from that, and that I got one of the highest grades in my year for doing this DCF valuation. I remember it. So there are different things that you have to think about that you can relate to the job. It's all about being relatable if you don't have the direct experience. In IB, it can be quite tough. They might ask you some things about, I don't know, you've been out of a job for 2 years, or you did a job somewhere else for 2 years. Why IB now? Were you someone that failed to get into IB? Now, there are a couple of ways to spin this. I think for me, I talk about how I wanted to get into IB in my A levels, but in my second year. And at that point in time, I realized that I wasn't going to get into because then target unis and stuff were sort of more prominent. You had to go into one to get into IB. So I was like, well, I was too late to apply for a target university, and by the time I did it, it was really hard for me to land any spring weeks and stuff. I didn't know about spring weeks until too late, and then it was really hard for me to get into that sort of cycle. So I'm just completely honest with them. I'll be real. You can talk about maybe that, you were doing medicine and you really want to do medicine, and because that's a very sort of structured path. And then whilst you were at university, maybe in your last year, you were like, I actually have a really strong interest in banking. So maybe you came on late to it. You're like, that's why you want to get into it. But then you had to take 2 years after that to try and figure out how to build up your skills in order to get into investment banking. Don't talk about, you'd failed bare times and stuff, because that won't come across well. But you just have to spin it in a way that is still true to you, but don't highlight the obvious failures if you have had them. Now, one that I have to answer a lot, because of my CV is you've had a lot of jobs. Why did you do all these? And like, why investment banking now? Like I've just explained, because I couldn't get into investment banking straight away, I was like, I needed to get into London and hopefully into an investment role. The only investment roles that I could get into were asset management roles, and I managed to land a middle office role in an asset manager, a global asset manager. And then I was like, you know what, I need to try and move into front office because that's where I want to work in investment banking in the end. So I got to move into front office asset management. I then tried to do a corporate finance masters to see if that would help me. It didn't help me. So I knew that the long way around into investment banking was to do the ACA. I managed to land something at RSM, and then less than halfway through, about a third of the way through my grad contract, I got poached by Deloitte to do audit there. I got my ACA, and then I moved internally to a deal advisory team, which is more akin towards what I want to get into investment banking. And then that's what landed me an interview at a bank. So I plot a story because at least it shows that I've had an interest from the start and that I've taken risks at certain points in my career in order to get to where we are right now. And you have to be able to showcase that. You have to be able to tell a story. Be honest with them, man. Like, I prefer honesty. As some sources will say, don't be honest, like too honest, and I get that. Like, don't be too honest, but still, whatever you're saying should not be BS coming out of your mouth. I've had people ask me actually on messages and stuff, say, oh, do you reckon I can lie about this? I'm like, no, I do not want you lying about anything. Like, please don't do that, man. I don't want someone who, watches my content, who learns off what I'm saying, that then goes on to lie, because I do not condone lying. I'll be real. I hate it. I genuinely hate it. I think these are sort of the main questions you will get in terms of a fit. They might ask you some specifically team related ones. So for instance, when we were hiring for an analyst in our team and even an associate, we had to make sure that they were okay with doing sort of more of the dirty work, because we didn't have a big team, and working at a mid-market, you get more exposure to stuff, but that also means that you're going to have to do some of the crap stuff, maybe as an associate or a VP, that you would do as an analyst. So I would ask like them people who we were interviewing, like, are you okay with sometimes just rolling up your sleeves and going into it? Like, we need people like that. We don't want people who come in and be like, no, I'm only doing this, nothing else. Because it's good to set expectations at the start, because, like, I don't want to give a false pretense. I hate it when you say something in an interview and then you join and it's something completely different. Yeah, I personally, I've had that experience before, and I genuinely hated it. Like, when someone says to me in an interview, this is what your remit is, this is what you're going to be doing, I join, and then it's something completely different. I'm like, you just hoodwinked me. Like, this is not why I wanted to join this job. And now I'm here and I left my other job. Should I have left that? And you start having doubts. So I think it's really important to be as honest with yourself as well as you can. If they do say, look, you might have to get down and dirty in this because it's not an elite boutique, or well, it's not a bulge bracket, let's say, where it's more, you're working more in siloed teams. You're going to have to sort of get rough and ready. And are you down for that? Like, be real with yourself. Are you down for that? But yeah, I think we'll leave it there. I've answered just a few quick fire ones. This is going to be an ongoing series. There are a few different sections to this, so apologies if it's a bit short. But yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Any questions that you want me to answer, I will make a video later on where I'm answering everyone's questions. So make sure you do that. But yeah, until next time, peace.